Gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Masculine by Design Mancast. Today is a special episode. We're doing something we've never done before here on the Mancast. Typically, when I have a guest on the podcast, there's me and them, just one guest. Today, I have 5 guests with me, and we're going to be talking about a program that has probably done more for my life than any other program that I have gone through. It's a program that has probably done more for the lives of other men than any other program that I've experienced to this point in my life. And I wanted to have its creator and my partner, Hunter Drew, to come on here, talk through what this program entails, how it came to be, the value that he intended it to provide to those who go through it. More than that, we wanted to have men who have gone through this program to speak about their experiences using this program. Nothing speaks more loudly to the value that a program provides to somebody than those who have gone through it. They can share their experiences and explain what value they truly gain from it. We have 5 men on here today. 4, in addition to Hunter and myself, who have gone through the program to share their experiences with you. And I'm really excited to get into this today. So before we get into this too far, I want to introduce all of the men that we have. I will go ahead and do that, and then we'll let each of them introduce themselves here a little bit later in the podcast. So first, we have Phil Foster. Phil is a brother in the Fraternity of Excellence, along with the rest of these men. He is an entrepreneur. He is a man who has reinvented himself and is one of the most generous, giving, kind, not necessarily nice, but kind men that I know, a man that I am proud to call brother. Next, we have Nathan. Nathan is also a great friend, somebody I've met a number of times, a brother in the Fraternity of Excellence. He has his line of barbaric soaps. He has barbarianrhetoric.com, and just, again, a go-giver, a man who really cares about his fellow man and does everything he can to help the men around him level up. We have Samuel Thorp. Samuel is a priest in the Church of England. Again, lifetime FOE member. He's been in since day one. Always there, helping men on the spiritual side of what it is to be a man. And has been, again, a huge supporter of what we're doing in the Fraternity of Excellence and a good friend and brother to me as well. And finally, we have Adam Lane Smith. Adam, many of you who follow me are already aware of Adam. He's been on the Mancast before. He was also on the Family Alpha podcast with me not that long ago. And a man who has a lot of different hats. Great nonfiction writer, great fiction writer. Is a licensed here. What is your license? I think you got like 4 letters after it, Adam. So before I butcher this, go ahead and tell me what it is.
Marriage and family therapy.
But what's the acronym?
LMFT.
LMFT. So licensed marriage and family therapist. Got it, nailed it. Okay. So many of you know Adam for his books, the Burrito Avenger, Maxwell Cain Burrito Avenger. The one that I'm reading through now is Gideon Ira, is that right? Ira. That's how I kept saying it, and then for some reason I changed it because I thought it was different. But we build these characters' names up in our heads, and now you're just completely screwing it up for me. But that's all right. But yeah, Adam, also a brother in the Fraternity of Excellence, great friend, Christian brother, somebody who all of you guys who, if you're not following him, definitely need to be. He is at the Prometheus on Twitter. So we'll let these guys all get their introductions hammered out and kind of what their platforms are and where you can find them a little bit later. So that will do it for our 4 guest panelists, apart from Hunter Drew. So Hunter, I'm going to hand the floor over to you now to talk through 31 Days to Masculinity, how it came to be, what you were aiming at with this program, and what your experience has been with seeing the men go through this to date.
First, I want to say thank you to you, Craig, for making this happen, bringing us all on, and to all the men on here. This is my inner council. There are a few who aren't here, but this is it. Like, these are the men I turn to anytime I need anything. That's where I go. So it's really cool to be able to see their unfiltered thoughts. I've never asked them, what do you think about this program? We've never really had that conversation. I've heard, here's how it's helped me, but I've never gotten the inner workings. So I'm looking forward to that as much as everybody else. Now, when it comes to 31 Days to Masculinity, that's a program that was made because I was getting a series of emails daily that men were struggling with the same issues. They were struggling with it. Just kept repeating itself. This is my problem. This is my problem. This is my problem. And I was like, man, there's like a series to this. It's ABC. It's always ABC. Why is everybody having the same problem? So I turned 30 in February of 2017, and I decided to dedicate the next month to my fellow men. So that's how it happened in March, because in February I turned 30 and I was like, well, what do I want to do? I want to dedicate something to my brothers. I want to give myself to those men because they've given so much to me. And it's kind of uncomfortable even talking about, because there's a lot of me in this. So it's a very personal program, because I went through a lot of the things I challenged others to go through. And like, well, how did you get to where you're at? Well, I slayed some serious fucking demons. I had some very, very difficult mountains I had to climb, but I climbed them. And here's how I did that. And I made a path. So there was a program. There's a man I met. He went by Jack Shep Returns, and he introduced me to it. He said, and he knew what he was doing when he did this. He's like, hey man, there's this program called Alpha Dog Days of Summer. It was 14 days of helping men, 14 days getting after it and looking at themselves, evaluating themselves. It's kind of like a fight club thing, like go out and pick a fight, do stuff like this. I was like, that's cool. He's like, what if somebody made something else like that for family men? And I was like, oh, what if? So there was that. Reddit, on the Married Red Pill subreddit, they did a thing called 60 Days of Dread. And each week was a different program. So each week it was, I think I covered style and leadership. So those are my 2 weeks at one point throughout the whole process. But it talked about finances. It talked about all those things. I was like, this is really cool. And then I looked at my emails and I was like, I keep getting these same things. I was like, what if there was a program that hit all of these at once? There's a short program. Instead of a week on a thing, you had one day. You had one day, balls deep against yourself in whatever region, whatever area it was. So I took everything that I had been exposed to and everything I've been involved with and everything I went through myself, and I put it together. And that's how the program came out. That's how 31 Days to Masculinity was born. And the first iteration was disgusting. But like any version of anything, something on the market, and something's better than nothing. So I put an ugly child onto the market, and I fixed it. I went after that, and I updated. And then after that, we updated again. And we went through 3 series of the books. It wasn't even going to be a book to begin with. I was done. And then guys kept hitting me up. Hey, man.
You gained a lot of traction, too. I mean, the ugly child version, as you put it, I mean, it got a lot of love. I mean, guys loved it because there wasn't a program like this that was out there. I mean, there's not that I knew of, or at least it wasn't being done in the way that you were doing it, or from the perspective that you were providing to the men who were going through the program. I mean, when you started that off, I want to talk through this a little bit, because I like what you were talking about with, I'll call it a minimum viable product, right? You didn't go through making this thing completely polished and perfect. You said, this is good enough. And you were actually creating the program. I don't know. I actually like to get your thoughts on this. If you had an outline, or you already knew the 31 days and what they all entailed, or if you were writing this program as you went, because as this was one of the first points in our relationship where I really started connecting with you and understanding what you were about, was as you were putting these blog postings on thefamilyalpha.com day by day and having these challenges there, and then having the men post on Twitter how they're completing these challenges. Was that something that you had completely mapped out, or were you kind of letting your creative juices flow as you were putting the content out each and every day?
I think you know me, and every man here knows me better than that, to think I mapped this thing out from beginning to end. I wing shit. I just shoot from the hip. There was a day I was like, you know what, tomorrow we need to face this, because this is going to suck. Let's do it. And then the guy was like, this is hard. Okay, I'm doubling it. Oh, this is hard. Fine. I'm tripling that. It's good. I want there to be an attrition rate. I want people to actually strive for something. I want action to be taken. There is a time and place for thought. There truly is a time and place for introspection, but too many people are up here and not enough people are out here in the world doing the thing. And the push-ups was a very simple, easy to do, no money needed, no space needed. So that's why it was push-ups. And I'm a military guy, so that whenever we fucked up, that's how they corrected us. Drop. Okay, boom, knock it out. Feel your body, feel the muscles. You don't stop till I say you stop. Okay. That was, I really liked that about that aspect of immediate consequences. Then.
So how many of you guys who are all here, so Phil, Nathan, Sam, and Adam, how many of you went through that first iteration? Did all of you go through it?
I believe I did. I still have a copy of the book from that first one.
So Adam, were you the only one besides me? Phil, did you go through that first one?
I joined you, I believe, in December.
Perfect. Okay. So yeah, I want to get to that as well. So Adam and I went through that first iteration. I think I joined like day 4 or something. I didn't get in from day 1. We were in, Sam, you were on that, weren't you?
I wasn't in the March one. I did it by myself with the book prior to December of Discipline.
Okay. Yeah, because I thought that it was around that time that you and I had connected too, but I guess it was a little bit later.
I think it was around that time I first started hearing about it, because there was a lot of guys commenting about it on Twitter, being like, okay, this is what I've done. And I was like, what are these guys doing? And then I got interested, and then it was being picked up, and Hunter was obviously tweeting about it every once in a while. And so I eventually picked it up and was like, okay, well, I'll give it a go.
Now, Nathan, did you do the December of Discipline?
No, I was listening. That was about the time I joined, and I was hearing it all through Slack. So I was hearing it from an outsider's point of view. My first was when March rolled around again.
That must have been my first then also. It was March 2018, not 2017.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for clarifying. This is great because we actually have some perspectives of men who've gone through it at different phases in the process of cleaning things up and learning from your mistakes. So all right, Hunter, I'm going to let you get back to the progression there of explaining how that all came to be. But I wanted to understand where these men kind of fit in that progression. So can you start back at that original the original version of 31 DTM, and then how that kind of progressed all the way up to December of Discipline?
The original 31 DTM, it was not a structured thing whatsoever. It was like, all right, guys, we're doing this. Sign up. You didn't pay. You didn't have a website to go to. There was no blog posts. It was literally like on Twitter, we're going to hashtag it, and I'm going to start putting the challenges and everything on the blog. But like, it wasn't like we're going through the blog together. Like, I was like making it up, like, oh, here you go. And it was like day, 13, 14. Like, I missed a day. So like, I failed my own challenge. And I remember making videos because at that time we're all like, I can't show my face. I'm going to get doxxed. And the social justice warrior is going to attack me. So I would like sit in like the back of the room with like my glasses on, like just like, oh guys, all right. Try to change my voice a little bit. Today we're going to do some push-ups and we're going to kick our own asses. We're going to check our finances so we stop being poor motherfuckers. Let's go.
Does that video still exist?
I can't. Text wants me to find it. I searched. I've got to check my old laptops and like hard drives. I hope I find it.
I remember watching it.
The internet doesn't lose things, so I just got to find a way to find it. But then, so I went through, we made it through all of that. Like I said, I missed a few days. I remember I went on a work trip to Houston and then Seattle, and things went insane. And I was like, guys, like, I missed a few days. Just keep going. Like, make up your own program, figure it out. And then I came back, I went through, we finished it, and then guys kept hitting me up. Are we doing the next one? I missed it. I want to do another one. I was like, well, I had zero intention of doing that. I was like, but sure, I'll throw something together. And then I created the book. I kind of finalized it. The book Adam was referring to, the front of it is totally like, so here's the current version. I've got the old version somewhere on the floor, but the back has nothing on it. The binding has nothing on it. It was literally, this is the most ghetto book in the goddamn. So that's the second version that Phil has right there. There's a first version that is ghetto. So when somebody else is talking, I might hop over and grab it just to bring out the versions.
Yeah. By the way, for those of you who are listening to this on the podcast, you can find the video of this podcast on the Masculine by Design YouTube channel. So you can just go to YouTube, search for Masculine by Design or Craig James, and find it there. It'll probably be a little bit easier to follow with the six of us on here. Just want to let you guys know that is available. Go ahead, Hunter.
I'm a man, and that's it. There's nothing special about what it is I'm doing. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to throw this program together and throw it out there. There's nothing unique. So to anybody listening, you can do this too. Nothing is stopping you except you. Make something, build it, share it. You will help somebody. Somebody needs to hear your voice. I highly encourage everybody to do their own program. It's freaking awesome. And it's great how it brings community together. So I made the book, and then I was so disappointed that I failed my own program that I was like, all right, I'm doing this again for myself. I'm going to get 100%. So I did Gentleman of June. So we did March, and then 3 months later, I did it again. That's where I met guys like Gentleman Jack. A bunch of other guys jumped on. We had Gentleman of June. I was like, this is kick ass. Like, we have a group of friends. We're all together. I think I did YouTube videos for that one. I don't remember. And then it was gone. And people started hitting me up. Oh, what a program. Your book's awesome. When do we do the next group campaign? I'm like, I don't plan to do another one. And then December comes around. And Sam actually has a really cool story. I remember him hitting me up. We were talking about him doing the program. And it was like, he just finished it or something. And he's like, oh, by the way, I'm doing it again next month. And he's like, guy, I just finished. I was like, yeah, we're going again. And then he showed up, and I was like, man, this is one of the coolest things ever. Like, this guy kicked his ass for 31 days, took like a weekend off, and did it again. It was hardcore.
I had literally less than 5 days between finishing and starting again.
I thought that was the most hardcore thing of anybody doing anything, like to go through it and then be like, all right, let's go back through it. Like, you didn't even get a week off. Like, it's awesome.
Part of it was simple. I wanted the t-shirt.
Yeah, it was a cool shirt.
And the way to get the t-shirt was to sign up and do it again. And then having signed up, I had to earn the t-shirt again. So yeah.
I'd like to get everyone else's perspective on this as well, and I suspect you guys would share the sentiment that I'm about to share, and that this program is not an easy program. I would say that it's doable for just about anybody, but it requires a lot of commitment because we're all busy, we all have tight schedules, we all have a lot going on, and each and every day you don't really know what's coming, and so the challenge comes out, and you have to find a way to fit that in with your schedule. And there are no excuses. Everything is doable. Nothing takes, 5 hours of your day. And anything, every single challenge can be done, but it's up to you as a man to make the commitment to get that done. And that is what I really love about the program, is because regardless of if each challenge of every day is a challenge that you specifically really, really need to hone in on in your own life, it still teaches you the aspect of self-discipline and the importance of when you commit to something, you see it through.
I'm looking forward to hearing the guys' perspectives on this.
Yeah, as here. So December of Discipline kicked off. That was December of 2017, correct?
Yep.
December
2018, January 1st. FOE was born.
Amen, brother.
Our love child, man.
So December of Discipline was that December of Discipline campaign was a great precursor to the Fraternity of Excellence. Hunter and I saw all these men engaging. What was the number? Do you remember?
It was 226.
So we had 226 men going through this December of Discipline campaign. And this was the first, correct me if I'm wrong, Hunter, but this was the first one that you had that had its own private Slack group where the men could engage about going through the program in kind of a very exclusive setting. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Campaign? Okay. So we had that, and Hunter and I saw these men in there and the value that was just being poured into their lives and the camaraderie that was taking place. And we had talked previously about creating a group for men who were striving for excellence, doing hard things, not accepting weakness and excuses in their own lives, and having that brotherhood of masculinity that we all were striving around. And so this was a precursor to the Fraternity of Excellence. We were going through this December of Discipline and just saw how awesome that was, man, just to see all these men coming together and doing the things that men do. And that's how the Fraternity of Excellence was born. And it was just a kind of natural progression from December of Discipline into the Fraternity of Excellence. And trying to build the Fraternity of Excellence while doing the December of Discipline program was certainly no short feat in and of its own, but we made it happen, man. Another minimum viable product, right? It wasn't perfect, but we got it done and put it out there.
I think that's a testament to the men in DOD and FOE. It's like, look, just get it done. Like, you got a job, do the job. It sucks, I don't care. Do the job. Like, cool. You don't sleep, me neither. It's hard, okay. So what? If you want nice things, you got to do hard things.
Yeah, you can always correct course later and refine things as you go. So Hunter, I really appreciate you going through that introduction to the program, how it came to be. Now I want to get the take of the men here who have taken time out of their day to join us on this program to talk about their experiences. And I'm going to start with Phil Foster at what's your Twitter handle, Phil? Is it Evolve Phil?
Yeah, it's Evolve Phil on Twitter. That's where you can find me.
You guys definitely want to give us a follow. Yep, hit that up. So Phil, explain your experiences with 31 DTM, how it's benefited your life, what you've gone through, and just the value you've seen it produce in the lives of other men. And if you have anything that you see that maybe could be improved upon or shortcomings of the program, definitely shoot those out as well.
Yeah, so in 2017, I ran across Hunter Drew on Twitter, and I was like, "Who's this guy? Who's this guy right here that's talking all this noise, And so I followed along, and he started talking about the December of Discipline and whatnot, and so I got his book, and I went ahead and signed up, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to do that." And it didn't dawn on me when I actually signed up in November. I was like, geesh, we're going to Utah at the end of December for Christmas. We're going to do 5 national parks in 5 days. And I was like, I looked at my wife and I was like, well, this is going to be interesting. So I'm going to read something out of the book that I have. It's on day 24. And it says, out of every 100 men, 10 shouldn't even be there. 80 are just targets, 9 are the real fighters, and we are lucky to have them, for they make the battle. But the one, One is a warrior, and he will bring others back. So I think that the December of Discipline, for me, when I did that program with Hunter and all you gents that were there, I exemplified Hunter as the one. This guy here is helping everybody kind of pull themselves up and straighten out their lives. So, the benefits for me from that program was adhering to the daily challenge, no matter where I was. If I was at Zion, I still did my push-ups. Wherever I was, whatever challenge it was, I had to get it done, or I was failing my fellow man. So, I look at that situation, and the first time I ever did that, and it was profound to me to sit back, and because I was completely illiterate to Slack, and he had the Slack channel going and everything, and to sit back and watch these guys grow as like a tribe of men, like, hey, these guys they're going through it, and some guys aren't finishing the situation as far as their push-ups, or they're missing their challenges, and it's like, okay, well, you got to get it done. There's no easy way. And it brings me to that second point of, you got to learn to laugh and smile in the rubble. You just have to. I mean, you all have to learn to embrace the suck, and, life isn't easy. The path to greatness isn't smooth, and you have to put that work in. And I think a lot of the things I might have been half-assing, actually I was, as a man, kind of taking a step back and looking at it, that program opened my eyes to it. It was like, hey, there's no reason to let your foot off the gas pedal, so to speak. There's no reason to get comfortable. Keep going. And as men, we all find ourselves falling back into those comfort zones and going, okay, and so I think, it really tapped into my drive to want to be better today than I was yesterday, and be better tomorrow than I am today. I think it like ignited a spark, so to speak, like that fire inside of me, like, okay, and as I went through that program in December, and then the FOE got kicked off in the beginning of the next year. And it's like, I'm looking around at all of my peers, and I'm going, okay. And it's interesting. I just started really looking at them. I'm like, these guys, they don't want to level up, and so I slowly, it's kind of like a tree that's sick. I started cutting all the dead arms off of it and deleting these people from my life, and continuing on that path of improvement every day, no matter what it takes, get it done. And I benefited hugely from that program, and I get the program totally. I think how that helps men that are in marriages, that are really going through some stuff, as men, we want to, try and figure out how to fix things, and sometimes you need to start with fixing yourself. And that's exactly what Hunter's program does, is it gives you an opportunity to take a step back for 31 days and realize that you have some shortcomings. Let's work on them. And you're going to see your fellow man fail in that program. It's okay if you fail. That's the big thing right there is, hey, you're failing, but you can improve on that failure, and that's another thing that it taught me is, and that it's okay to make mistakes and fail, that you can't be so rigid and just completely fall back all the way down to the bottom. You have to keep your foot on that gas pedal, so to speak. And that's what Hunter says all the time. Keep your foot on the gas. Don't coast. As soon as you let off, and there was a few times over the 2 years since I've done that program. I've done the program twice, actually. Where I have coasted a little bit and shit got sideways, and I had to correct it. And there's the tell right there. It's a real thing. And I was like, so I think that in my experience, it benefited me. It benefited myself. It benefited my family 100%. And it caused me to want to take that final step forward, to not let my foot off the gas, so to speak. It took the second time around. That second time, I think it was I think it was in June. Didn't you do one in June in 2018 or summer? I can't remember, but
it was a gentleman of June, but I don't remember which year it was. I think it was 2017, I believe.
Yeah, or the next year after that, once FOE was started. But I just know that it took that second time for it to really hit home for me. And I'm a little hard-headed, So how does this reflect on Hunter? Well, for me, Hunter's the kind of guy that I see that he believes in his fellow man, and he just wants to see you win. And as he's improved this program, and gentlemen have, joined it and went through it. And I think the fuel for Hunter is to see these guys actually turn their lives around. And that's a direct reflection on Hunter, because it's his little brainchild. You know what I mean? The 31 DTM is his. And I think that, as men grow and heal, so to speak, and work on themselves, that just fuels Hunter more. And that makes Hunter want to improve the program, which he's openly admitted every time it's gotten a little bit better and a little bit more dialed in. And so excellent. I highly recommend, if you haven't done the program, to do it. And you won't be disappointed.
Now, Phil, two things about your experiences that I want our audience to really appreciate here, because what I've heard a lot of men who have been considering going through this program say is, well, I'm just too busy. Now, I know that you're not a man who seeks sympathy in any shape or form, and so not something that you are very forthcoming about, but I know you well enough to know that you are a damn busy individual, and with having your own construction company, leading your family, and I'm sure taking care of that body. You guys who can see him on video, Phil is jacked year round. I mean, the guy commits to feeding and training his body in a mode that can only be described as excellent. So you're a busy man, yet you were able to fit this in. And so I want the men who are listening to this to understand that that is not an excuse. If you see that there are gaps in your life that need to be addressed, you can always have the excuse of, well, I'm too busy, or I can do it tomorrow. But Phil is a perfect example of the fact that if you are willing to commit to yourself, you find a way to get it done. And the second thing I want men to take away from your story, Phil, is, again, something else that your humility would keep you from pronouncing to the world here. But you are a man who is very actualized your masculinity and your manhood and your drives and your ambition, the things that you want out of life. And, you and I have spoken, we've met, we shook hands, we've had great times together, had deep conversations about things. And I know this about you. So this isn't the type of program that is just for the guy who's an incel playing video games, seeking just, writing off women. This program is not for only the guy who is starting at ground floor. This program will help men, no matter where you're at on the process of actualizing your potential, to continue to actualize it that much further. Phil, are you on board with what I've just said there?
100%. And I will tell you, the second time around, it's a certain power cycle I was doing in the gym, and I was like, sheesh, the push-ups, man. But we got them done. It was interesting that my family actually joined in on the push-ups there on that second go around, and the realization for me was, my wife, she didn't do the whole program, but every day we went to the gym, she did the push-ups, the push-up count with us. And even when it got up to 200, she belted out 200 a day for the last few days. I mean, and it's just kind of like, I could see that kind of bleeding, into my family. And it's like, okay, and or we're traveling, and my daughter's like, oh, Dad, you can do another set of push-ups today. And I'm like, yep, right now, just to get them done. But you're absolutely correct. There is no excuse for not making time. You can make time to improve yourself, even if it's incrementally every day. You just got to get that thought process in your brain. It's like, okay, I got to be better today than I was yesterday. I don't care what it is and how little it is. It just needs to be better today, whether it's 2 pounds on the bar, whether it's, picking up my mess. If I leave a mess laying behind, I don't care what it is. It could be any little thing, as long as you're incrementally better every day. to be actualized, and then, like Craig was saying, be at a lower situation, I guess you could say, where it's physically or emotionally or whatever your situation is at this current time, it's a good starting point. And you need to learn to make that time for yourself, and this program will do that for you. It's right here on the whiteboard. We keep it. It's just like, you can't go around it. You have to go through it. This is something my family practices, my daughter, my wife, and myself. You can't go around it. You have to go through it. And this program is something that, if you're like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, it'll help you straighten that out. And it's kind of like when I retweeted Hunter's deal on Twitter about it the other day, I was like, what are you waiting for? You keep looking at this tweet, freaking pull the trigger already. Let's just get it done. Let's do this, grow, improve yourself as a man, level up. That's what I got on that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Phil. Great story there. Great experiences. And I love what you talked about, your wife doing push-ups along with you. Cause me having 3 younger children, I've experienced the same things when I go through this program. I'm dropping and doing push-ups every so often. And, every single time I've gone through this program, one or more of my kids end up by the end of the program dropping and doing push-ups just about every time I'm doing it as well. Not necessarily doing as many as I am, but they do what they can. And it's just cool to see how that fire spreads. So on the topic of push-ups, so Sam, we're gonna go to you next. And during December of Discipline, Tex, one of the other men who is in our inner council of Fraternity of Excellence, and is a man who has gone through this program a number of times. He was visiting you in England during this the last December of Discipline.
He visited me during March.
It was the end of March. Okay, thanks, Sam. I appreciate you correcting me there. You guys were doing push-ups on a castle wall. Is that correct?
So up in Scotland, there's a place called Dunatar, which has a castle where the Scots successfully defended themselves against the English for an annoyingly long period of time. And Tex came over with his son, and I was in Durham at the time, so I got the train up and we met up, and we had a great day connecting and just talking. But we did our push-ups because there was a campaign going on. Push-ups needed doing, and so we jumped in. We did push-ups outside a service station, and then we got to this castle. You got the sea crashing around you. There's no one else out there. It was a sublime day, and we're on. Literally, so you could climb up a couple of walls. You got a great view of everything. And Tex was like, right, you ready? I was like, yeah. So we both drop in, doing our push-ups at the same time. I seem to remember we recorded a video and sent it to everyone as proof. It was like, look, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you can do your push-ups because we're on top of a castle in Scotland with the ocean looking majestic, and we're doing our push-ups.
So there is something I wanted to say. When I saw that video of Sam doing the push-ups, and when I hear Phil talking about, him going through and his family improving and all that, there's, when you create something for people, there is a selfish element to it. I don't ever ask myself, what is my purpose in life? I don't ever ask myself, like, oh, what's the point of it all? Like I see that through everyone doing these things. That's, I guess if I look at this program as you guys are speaking, that's what it does for me. It's not the accomplishment of the book. It's the experiences and the things people are sharing. Like, how cool is that to know somebody's family's better because you wrote some words down and that guy got after it? How cool is it to know that man changed his whole direction? Maybe it was spiraling down, he pulled the wheel up. Like, that is one of the coolest things in the world. And everybody has the opportunity to experience that, because when you go through it, you get to see that in your family. So Phil can look at his kids, his wife and his daughter, and be like, hey, look at them doing this because I did this. Like that, I feel good as a man. Like, you don't ever have that complex of like, why am I doing what I do? And every one of you here, you look at those around you and you're like, they're better. My friends and family are better because I decided to kick my ass and do things better. Like, what a cool thing we're all experiencing. Like, and look around here, there's a lot of hate in the world. There's a lot of vitriol that's spit at people. And it's like, look, if you could only fix yourself, you'd find the beauty in the world, because it's in the discomfort. The beauty is being uncomfortable, but you're happy there. When shit's hitting the fan, you're the guy smiling like, yeah, this is life. Let's go. I just had to add that because I'm like getting pumped up and hearing different stories and stuff.
It's a good addition, man. Those who are listening to this can see the background behind the man. I don't sing your praises very much, and I know that you are somebody who doesn't want it. You don't do it for this reason. This isn't why you're here. I told you while we were on a phone call, I wanted to have this podcast because I want my audience. I want as many men as possible to know about your program, but not just to know that it exists. I want them to know what it entails. I want them to know the man behind the program. And what you just said speaks volumes to that, man. You are a selfless individual. Even the things that you get paid for and that you and I work together on, you and I are both very open and honest about the fact that we don't want men who are just throwing money at whatever it is we're producing. And you've said that from day one with 31 DTM. You want men who are going to come in, do the work, and change their lives. And that's the difference. You talk about the men read the words and then their lives are upgraded. Well, what's the difference, right? I mean, it's not that they read the words, it's that the men do the work, right? You show that you have the roadmap. You say, hey, here are the things that have worked, that I've seen impact the lives of men around me. That's still up to the men who invest in themselves, invest in this program to do the work. And Samuel, you're somebody who has done the work, and you've seen your life changed as a result. So can you talk through that a little bit?
I'm going to give an example based purely on the push-ups, to start with. When I did the first one by myself, just reading the book, I struggled to do 100 push-ups in a day. That was a real fight. I don't know if it was quite this bad, but I did somewhere close to 50 sets of 2 push-ups because I couldn't make it to 5 push-ups in a go. I remember I sent Hunter a message because about midway through the month, I started sending him little DMs on Twitter being like, yeah, I don't know if you're going to read this, but here's how today went. And it's just a way of me keeping myself accountable. It's hard for me to just put it out there. And I said to him, it's about day 16 and these push-ups getting a little bit easier. And he was like, no, you're getting stronger. And I was like, I hadn't reframed it that way. I was getting stronger. Then the December of Discipline, by the end of that, I was managing my sets in sets of 20. So I've gone from sets of 2 to sets of 20. And I believe it was by the end of Men of March, a couple of months later, I was doing my final lots of push-ups in sets of 50. So that's an incremental change.
Sets of 50.
It's physically lived reality, undeniable, quantifiable change that I saw myself go through in quite a short period of time.
So Samuel, just to put this in perspective, you said you started off doing sets of 5. And by the time
I couldn't even make it to 5.
Couldn't even make it to 5. And then after going through this a few times, you're doing sets of 50.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. I mean, that is exemplary. I mean, as somebody who has worked with others in matters of physical fitness, to see anybody go from less than 5 push-ups a set to being able to do 50, I mean, that is a substantial improvement, man. And kudos to you. You put in the work, you got the results.
Yeah. What I want to talk about is there's two experiences I've had with 31 DTM. One was the December of Discipline and the ones that we've done with FOE afterwards, which have been fantastic. The other guys can probably talk about how great Slack is. You genuinely get to meet some really cool people because you're all going through something together and it forms a friendship that does last. There are people who I met during December of Discipline who are on this call now, but one of the men lives in Sweden where my now wife comes from, and I ended up meeting him and doing push-ups with him at New Year in Sweden, and he actually went on to be one of the people that gave a speech at my wedding. One of the other guys, he was in the American Air Force as a mechanic. He happened to be over in England for a spell at the same time I was getting ordained, and he came to my ordination service. These are big milestone moments in my life where men from this program have come and supported me, not just through the day-to-day, have you done your push-ups, all the banter, how are you finding this, what can I do to help you and support you, but actually when it matters, when it's a big life event, they show up. Tex planning his trip to the UK was like, I had to meet you, and that was a huge thing for me. But the thing that I want to talk about is that this program works by itself. It's kind of like magic tricks. When you watch a magician, you often go, he's got something up his sleeve, he's doing this or that. But there are card tricks you can learn where if you follow all the steps, it's just a mathematical equation. You move these cards into these piles, and you will produce someone's card. You don't know how it's done. The viewer doesn't know how it's done. But at the end of the day, you had the Queen of Diamonds, and that was their card. 31 DTM's kind of like that, because my first time doing it, I did it just by myself with a book on my phone, on Kindle. I would read the rules and the challenge as the last thing I did in the evening before I went to sleep, so that I'd know what it was when I woke up. I got into the habit of literally rolling out of bed and doing my first 10 push-ups, because if I didn't get them started, I'd end up staying up late in the evening to get them done. But at that point, I was still figuring out, what am I doing with my relationship? Where's my life going? We talked a lot about getting married, but one of the main things that really sort of tangible outcomes of doing it myself was I was able to actually take the kick up the bum and actually sit down with my finances, figure out what I could and couldn't afford, save up a little bit more. And a few days after the end of finishing the first program, 31 DTM, I took my wife out to the woodlands near where we lived. Beautiful day. Got down on one knee and asked her to marry me. And she said yes, and we're now married, and most of the guys that have been part of this have seen that journey grow. But for me, that's something that was really tangible. It was a big commitment, and it wasn't done lightly, because it gave me the opportunity to pause, reflect. Is this what I want? If it is what I want, what am I going to do to get after it? What steps do I need to take? How am I going to sort this out? How am I going to do that? What's things going to look like with various other aspects in our lives? But that sort of pivotal moment in my life, this was the program I needed to actually give me the structure and the space to tackle life intentionally, rather than to just be like, oh, well, I've got enough money saved up. I guess I'll go to the shop next week and see if I can find a ring that looks nice. It was much more, okay, I have the tools now to go and have a plan, make something happen. So if you aren't going to do the December of Discipline or any future campaigns that Hunter does, spend the $10, buy the book, do it yourself. Do the work. That's what matters.
I was letting a longer gap go because I thought you were done last time. Are you done, Sam?
You know me, I can keep going.
I know you can. I thought you were going to. So we're talking about the tangible, going from 2 to 50 push-ups. I noticed something. The people listening to the podcast, I'm going to explain something because you can't see it. As these men are all saying certain things, like I rolled out of bed and I did 10 push-ups, everybody else's head is like, yep. And then they start saying, oh man, I was doing this. We're like, yep. There is an intangible aspect to this, which is the camaraderie, the brotherhood, the bond you build, the connection you feel to another. There are not many programs or networks out there where men are connected to men, where men are connected I'm going to say fraternity, but not in the sense of fraternity of excellence, but in the sense of universal brotherhood. Whether you're in the fraternity of excellence or not is irrelevant. If you've gone through 31 DTM, you're connected to the other men. I'm looking on this panel. I've called Sam my best friend who I've never met since like week 2. Like ever since we started talking, I'm like, dude, this dude gets it. Like I like him. Like his perspective, the way he's going after things, it's just such a cool breath of fresh air in my life that I'm like, man, like whatever it is you need, I'm always there. And someday we will be shaking hands. That's going to happen. I'm hoping 2020 is the year. I'm pretty confident it will be. But Craig, we started a freaking business together. Like I root for you and your family. We talk about our kids. Phil, same thing. Nate, we talk. Nate's the one person I talk to on the phone, and I hate talking on the phone. But we have conversations. And Adam and I have gone to war for each other and against each other more than anybody I know. But it's one of those things. It's like kicking the ass because I love you. And then let's talk about how we're going to go forward and be the best selves we can be. This is all friendships. This is all real. This is all things where proximity is no longer confining you. You're no longer confined by the locals that you can hang out with. You can raise the standard of those around you. It's just incredible.
I've had the chance to meet several men that have been through this program, and there's an instantaneous click once you meet in person. That handshake happens, it turns into a hug. Maybe you do some push-ups, you get some food, you go see something cool, but it's as if you've known each other forever already. One of the things that was really cool during that first December of Discipline was it started snowing in lots of places, and there were various forms of proof of different men stepping outside into their boxers in the snow, doing their push-ups in the snow. And it was kind of fun. You end up with push-up bets. Men sort of being like, oh, I haven't done this or I haven't done that. Someone's like, okay, well, today I'm doubling the push-ups. And someone else like, well, I'm going to do 50 more than you. That kind of thing. It sounds kind of superficial to talk about the push-ups. But when you're doing it together day by day, that's the commonality in the sense of energy that enables you to actually do some really deep stuff. So one of the things that I found, having done the program several times, is that a big part of it is negative visualizations. don't want to give away too many secrets, but you have to sit down and think about the way that your life could be negatively impacted by the loss of everything that you've got. And since having gotten married, that's made a huge change to how I approach that exercise. And if you don't do this program, you're not likely to just sit down and commit to spending 10, 20 days doing that kind of reflective process, which actually might be the exact spark you need, like Phil was saying, to just get after it and to notice when you're letting off the gas.
Yeah. So Sam, I love how you kind of went through this program as you were taking a very large step in your life, opening a new chapter in marriage. And I want to shift to Adam here about this topic in particular, because I would venture to say that you going through that program went a long way towards setting you up to be successful in your marriage. And Adam, you know, you and I know we've talked offline and online about this topic. As most, I've talked with all the men in here about this topic before, but you know, a man needing to have a clear understanding and vision of where he is going in life if he is going to have a successful marriage. Can you talk a little bit about that, Adam? Just how 31 DTM can help men who are either looking to get into that marriage covenant, or maybe they're already in that marriage covenant and they're looking at optimizing their role as the man in that relationship so that that relationship can thrive and leave a legacy behind that the men who are leading that legacy can be proud of.
Yeah, of course. And nothing I say should be healthcare advice or anything. You know, I'm not here as a therapist, but
Always with the disclaimers, Adam, but I get
always. It has to be. You know, you can't really have a marriage where you're checked out, where you're coasting. You can't really coast and stay married, especially young guys. When I jumped into 31 Days to Masculinity, I was 6 months away from being licensed. So I was working a job where I was making less than half of what I should be making. I wasn't even doing therapy. Someone else was doing all the diagnosing, and I was driving around doing in-home care. It was just, I was waiting. My whole life was about waiting. I just had this hunkered down mentality. On the weekends, I would sit there and I'd play video games for 14 hours just to try to deal with my stress level. I had my son was there, and he would sleep in my arm, and I'd just be playing video games the whole time. And 31 Days Masculinity hit, and my wife was pregnant with my daughter, and it was the month she was going to give birth. And halfway through the month, she ended up giving birth. So yeah, I dropped and I did push-ups in the delivery room as my wife was in labor. I didn't get a video of it because she would have killed me, but it happened.
Honey, in between pushes, can you hold this phone real quick?
Yeah. Hold it steadier than that.
That's like a whole program. Push-ups between pushes.
That's your next one. 31 days to labor. You know, that doing the 31 Days to Masculinity, that during that 2 weeks that we started, and 2 weeks later, my daughter was born, and I continued through the whole program. I finished 100% completion rate. I was really proud of that. It gives you a good sense of accomplishment. But there were so many things in there that I had just hunkered down because I was waiting to get my license. I was just trying to get through, just try to have that mentality of just get through, and things will be okay later, but just let everything fall to pieces while you focus on this one aspect of your life. And it woke me up like a sledgehammer to the face. It was fantastic. Samuel, you had said learning to live intentionally. It definitely did that. I had one book published at the start of 31 Days of Masculinity. I had one book I had just published. It took me 3 years to write and edit, and I published it. And over the course of the next 18 months, I've published 6 more, and I'm about to publish book number 7 here. But the marriage aspect is huge. If a man is just drifting and coasting, you aren't going to have a marriage for very long. If you're not being intentional about it, if you're not setting goals, 31 Days of Masculinity, there's programs in there. There's sections where it forces you to go out and spend time with your loved ones. It's horrible. It's stuff you would never think about. It's take your wife or loved one on a date. It's like, guys stop dating their wives. It's sit them down and have a good talk with them. It's discuss the finances. There's a million aspects in it that makes you tune up your marriage, because in a good marriage, you're sharing all of these aspects with the other person. So as your life changes, their life is inevitably changing too. Um, I don't think you can do 31 days to masculinity and not have it improve a healthy marriage. The other side of that is, I don't know if you can do 31 days to masculinity and have a terrible marriage survive. I'm not sure. It would have to change. It definitely draws a line in the sand of if this can work or not, because you're going to change and you're going to improve, and you're going to see if the other person's going to stab you in your sleep or not. I guess that would be the biggest thing I could tell guys is, if you're not sure about your marriage, this program is a good way to find out. It's a really good way, because most guys, their wife doesn't trust them because that have problems anyway. Their wife doesn't trust him because so many times he said, "Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to make changes," and he changes for about maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, and then immediately reverts because he's not getting the response that he wants. The whole changes for her response. So she stops trusting him because it's been 10, 20 times that he's promised it. If you blast through this in 30 days, it's 31 days, it's 4.5 weeks. That's a long time. 3 weeks establishes a real habit. After 3 weeks, your new habits have asserted themselves. After 4.5 weeks, your habits are there. And then your wife, hopefully, will start seeing that you are serious about these changes. If nothing else, your upper body starts to get built. Like when you do these programs, I've done 2 official 31 days to masculinity, and then I've done 2 additionals on my own, running through one-to-one with buddies. So I've done that push-up program itself 4 times now. And my wife always says, by the time I get done doing the push-up program, it's a huge noticeable difference. Like maybe you don't gain or lose weight, but you just look jacked. And I've got my practice that I run. I've got clients that see me once a week, and they tell me, Adam, what are you doing different? And they're expecting me to have some insane program that I'm running. I just say, oh, I'm just doing push-ups, just consistently doing 100 push-ups a day. It's good, big results.
Now, Adam, you shared recently with, I believe, inside of the Fraternity of Excellence, just the difference. I actually know it was on Twitter that I saw it. It might have been in both places, but the difference that your body has undergone in the past. I don't know what the time frame was. This is more of a long-term benefit, right? Is just keeping your mind in that place of understanding the importance of physicality into what it is to be a man. Can you talk through kind of that progression for you?
Yeah. So 2018, March of 2018, like I said, I was fat and out of shape. I was just hunkered down. I had been hunkered down for 2 years. 2.5 years was how long it took me from when I moved to this current state until 2.5 years later. I accrued all the hours I needed for my license, took my tests and all that. So for 2.5 years, for 2 years anyway, I was hunkered down, gained a bunch of weight. The doctor had me on some bad medication that made me gain weight, and then it caused this intestinal problem. I ended up gaining all this weight. 31 days of masculinity started, and I was like Samuel, I could do 5 push-ups. If that. It was like, oh man, I can't hardly hold my giant bulk as I'm trying to do these push-ups. Like I'm paying some other guy to lift me up and down off the ground practically. Now, then I think I was wearing 2 or 3 XL, probably 2 XL shirts. The doctor told me, all right, Adam, you've had enough. You're massively overweight. I got to put you on these blood pressure meds. You're just there, but your father's just had a heart attack. I was 32, and they put me on blood pressure medication. What are you doing with your life? 40-inch waist, I think. And just that first 31 days of masculinity hits you. It hits you hard. And you start thinking, wow, I could look better than I do. It only took me 30 days of push-ups, and look how good I look and feel, and everyone's noticing, and it becomes addictive. So you kind of just become not a fitness junkie, but darn near it. And it just took off. So now I'm down 2 shirt sizes. I've changed my physical styles a little bit. I used to be this Walmart dude. I'd actually, as a professional, I would wear Walmart t-shirts and jeans because I thought that was fine because I grew up real poor. I'm growing a beard. I'm getting my hair a little bit better. I get haircuts now more than once a year. Hunter got me in on that. I'm down. I'm trying to remember my blood pressure. Just got taken the other day. It was up at 140. It was 140 and like 110 or so. It was horrible. The other day they took my blood pressure 106/66. No medications at all. I've come down multiple shirt sizes, 6 to 8 inches off my waist, and I'm feeling good, like good. I felt like an old man when I was 32. I feel younger now than I felt in 15 years. It's amazing what that can really do for your body and your mind, your marriage. My kids are looking at me now because they're watching me go through this whole thing. It's huge.
And that's what I've seen as well, Adam. You look at the program's 31 days to masculinity. So a lot of men have this false impression, well, this is just 31 days and that's over, right? But
no.
I mean, this program and the results that it provides in your life and the perception that it gives you, or the introspection that you have to go through and start understanding who you are as a man and what your deepest desires are, that goes with you for a lifetime.
That's true. A lot of the things that have changed is just, physically, you start the program and you look good, because you've done push-ups for a month. And then you've made some changes in your life. You've made some people mad at you because you told them to go suck eggs. Some of the bad people in your life. The good people, you're closer to them now. It develops better intimacy and love. But then it echoes. It continues to go. You realize, wow, the work's never going to be done. And you don't hate yourself for it. You used to hate yourself and resent yourself because you were a fat sack of crap. But then you start building changes and you say, I'm actually a disciplined man. I've just got a long way to go before I dig myself out of this pit, and it's probably never going to be done. And you settle into a mindset of just continuous, relentless improvement without hating yourself. That's one of the big crucial differences.
I think that what you just said is exactly my experience of it. It's something that sets you up and carries you on beyond. And I found in the past that on day 32 and day 33, I'm still sitting there, the program's finished, but I have my notepad, I'm writing down my goals, I'm figuring out, okay, what is it I can do next? And I still need to do my push-ups because I don't need to do them, but somehow I still need to do them. And it's something that sustains you into whatever you're doing next, whatever you're going to make use of it with.
Absolutely. So Adam, thank you so much for sharing that. Nathan, we haven't gone to you yet. So Nathan can be found on Twitter at SteelJanz, SteelJanz. Nathan, as kind of one of the more latecomers to the 31 Days to Masculinity party, what has your experience been since you have first embarked upon that program and engaged with the men who were going through it with you?
It has been an interesting year. I had to think about it. It was March of this year that I've done it. So it had several iterations before I did. So this is the second one. The DOD will be the second time in 2019. So I did it at the beginning of the year, and it's been a hell of a year of change. And Phil reading something from the book reminded me of something, and I'm not going to tell anyone where it is. You'll find that out on your own, but I think it's a key point. Masculinity is a part of who we are. It's not something we do. And there's one of the biggest things that so many people forget is it's just a way of life. It's just, this is it. And they're like, well, when did you become aware? When did you do this? Or when did, no. This is how I've been. This is how my father, my uncles, my grandfathers, and everyone else taught me these things throughout the years. And it's just him. Have I fell off the wagon? Yes. Have I failed miserably? Yes. But at the same time, it wasn't that I woke up one day and here it is. It's just what it is. And I think 31 DTM, one of the biggest things it does is it starts rewiring your brain. Because you've been pushed and you've thought for so long on things that, oh, this is the way it is. And you start switching it from you to, who you are or how you're going to say it. And it's just, there's a change that comes about you. And then you have those that are holding you accountable and you'll be like, yeah, no. Change one word around. And when you change that word around and you start thinking in those terms, you're like, oh, I knew this. And that's where the challenges come in. It is, you already knew it. You're just being reminded of it. You see it, and then you just become. And something else that's interesting is Samuel went through it when he was still single, but then he got married. Adam and Phil were married. I was on the opposite end of it, I was divorced and not married. And I think this program can do as much for guys coming out of divorce or looking at it as, okay, what mistakes did I make? Where did I need to clean my house? What stuff did I screw up? Because the only reason your marriage failed was because you screwed up. For whatever reason, this program will teach you how to vet women. If you're looking to get remarried, or you're looking to do something else, or you're looking to get married, it will run you through all that crud of all this stuff. You're like, well, I don't know about. No. It makes you look at those hard questions and come up with answers of, all right, do I want to be married? And through the fraternity and talking with guys, this program, I believe, has helped save marriages. And like was said earlier, it's not destroyed them. They were already destroyed, but you knew that you had to draw the line in the sand. But they're not going right out and getting hooked up with the next lady. They're going, oh, I need to look at myself and I need to fix all this stuff first. So in any way, shape, or form, it doesn't matter. Before marriage, during marriage, screwed up marriage, or divorced, or for some reason you're not married, it can help you and assist you. And I think that's one of the big things that are missed. People go, oh, this is for married guys. No, it's not. Oh, this is for this guy. No, it's not. It's for you looking inside and then turning around and looking out to your entire world and going, what do I need to clean up? And there's a house cleaning that goes along during this. We talked about push-ups and the strength side. You talk about the mental side. And that serious house cleaning is where a lot of people don't put into it. Oh, yeah, I liked, they'll make a comment. Yeah, I did that. Well, what'd you do? And when you have guys going through the program on Slack or Talk or on a Zoom or whatever, you can see it in their faces when they didn't actually do the work. You look at them and they'll fluff off or give you some dumb excuse, and you're like, okay, so you didn't do it. No, I did. No, you didn't, because you can just hear it in your voice, because the men that have been through it know what happens when you change. And that's one of the nice parts, I think, of the one I went through, was all these guys had already been through it. They're like, did you do this? I worked on this, or I saw this. And a lot of it I'd already cleaned up, and then I got to relook at it. So that was a nice part.
Yeah, Nathan, something that I found as well is you can really learn a lot about a man in seeing how he deals with failure. And there's a wide spectrum that I saw as going through 31 Days to Masculinity and how men deal with that. Some men, they would fail to do their push-ups for a day, or they failed to do the challenge, and you'd never hear from them again. Other men like myself who failed, I failed more times than I've succeeded. I've only successfully gone through it to the letter one time. When I failed, I admitted failure and I doubled down. I did twice as much in terms of push-ups or whatever the challenge might have been the next day. And it speaks a lot to a man's character to see how he deals with failure. And I'm curious, is that kind of what you were alluding to there, in terms of seeing the men?
Yeah, we don't remember the guy
who haven't gone through it, and how they're seeing it for the first time versus the men who have some experience.
Yeah, because those are the guys that stuck around. Really,
yeah.
At the end of the day, the guys that failed and just wandered off, no one remembers their names. They're back into whatever gutter or hole or whatever else they went into, and you almost know that they're looking at us on Twitter or they're looking at stuff and they are envious and pissed off, and they're just, well, they were mean to me or something. They made up some dumb excuse of why they couldn't. Oh, Phil yelled at me. Oh, okay. Yeah, Samuel wasn't nice to me one day. Oh, all right. And there was another one, and I can remember his name just because it was such a big deal. One of our other guys yelled at him, and he like vanished, and everyone's like, he's like the one known person, the one failure in it, and it's like he pops up every now and then, and you're like, dude, no, it's not true what you're saying. You're faking it. We have proof, and we're quiet about it because at the same time you just sit back and you laugh and you're like, come on, step back up to the plate, prove us wrong. And I think there's a key thing. Even when you stop, you fail, you only fail if you don't get back up. Back to all the platitudes. We've said a lot of platitudes in the last couple hours. Why are they platitudes? Because people are too stupid to freaking listen to them. Too thick-skulled, too whatever you want to say. It's like they're platitudes for a reason. And you just go from there. So I made a whole bunch of changes in my life. Made me rethink a lot of stuff. And going through in March did not get me, it was the spark that I needed over the next 2-3 months to get me thinking. At the time I did the stuff, I went through it, I kept my notes and everything, but it was like my notes and everything that carried over. It was like the 3 or 4 months after it that my big changes started to happen. I went back and I reviewed it because going through the program, it's intense. I don't think you can absorb all of what you learn in those 30 days. You got to take some time and digest some of it. And if you're not keeping notes and you're not looking, to keep track of your progress, you're missing out. You're only going to get out of it what you put into it. Then the rest of us are just going to challenge you.
Absolutely. Now, Phil, you had posted here in the chat that you had something you wanted to add, so get on in there, brother. Looks like you're muted.
As a man, speaking from my own experience, and then just dealing with just the general public and men in general in my day-to-day activities, we hate to look at ourselves and go, geez, that was my bad, and own that. That's the thing about this program is it can educate you, so to speak, on how to take a look back and go, okay, I fucked that up and I need to correct that. I need to get that straight, and the reason why is because we like to be comfortable. And that's my opinion. We want to be comfortable. And, looking at your own stuff, looking in your own backyard and seeing the grass isn't cut, so to speak, and the leaves are stacked up and branches everywhere from the trees, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable, and a lot of men, they refuse to do it. Like they'll shift. In my experience with a 31 DTM program is, they'll get going on it and then they just start dropping off. And it's like, okay, well, and guys that are kind of hit and miss, you kind of reach out to them and say, hey, well, what's going on? What's the real deal here? What's a problem? Why are you flagging? Because, if I'm not mistaken, in December of 2017, there was a stat, on the Slack, everybody that did their stuff and showed up every day and handled their business, so there was like 100% accountability there. And it was just like, it almost bothered me to see that these guys had invested in themselves, but then they quit themselves at the same time because they got uncomfortable. And I think that's something that Nate was touching on. He made the notes, and he looked back, and it took him a couple of months to really digest and look at it honestly and then sort that out. And maybe Adam can touch more on that because, that's his profession. He knows how to digest and spit it back out in that situation as far as being uncomfortable and why we hate it. And I think that, it's just because we don't want to fail. We don't want to let those around us down. But really, if you're stagnant and you're not doing anything to improve yourself in the minuscule, in the micro even, you're not benefiting or helping anything to begin with. So what's the crux there? How do you figure out that point of, okay, how do I get uncomfortable and accept that discomfort? Perfect example. Sam talking about the push-ups. The push-ups, everybody's going through it together. That's a difficult challenge. You know, a lot of guys are physically challenged. Even guys that are physically fit, it's challenging. Trust me, it's not easy. You know, and you know, that discomfort that comes along with those push-ups, you know, I think that kind of helps break guys out of their shell of, okay, well, I need to understand that this is how it's going to be, you know. And then, you know, that veil that we all have over our eyes, you know, we want to be blinded and comforted. You know, we got our TV, we got our food, you know, we got air conditioning, we got all these things, all these little creature comforts in our lives that, you know, that lull us into a sense of we don't need to be uncomfortable. You know, but as a man, if you're not striving for greatness, if you're not striving to improve yourself, then you're stagnant. And then your masculinity starts faltering. And in my opinion, this is completely my opinion. You know, and that's one of the things about this program is it kind of like kicks you in the balls, so to speak. It says, hey, you need to wake up and accept that discomfort. And it's okay to be uncomfortable. And it's okay to take a look at what you got going on in your life here and sort it out.
It's okay to fail as well. You know, I think men have a tendency to put these buffers in our lives. Well, if I just don't take this action, then I don't have to worry about having to deal with the failure that might come along with it if I am unable to see it through. And that's something that we as men have to get past that. As men, we have to get past that. If we're not failing, then we're not challenging ourselves to the level that we should be.
This is a start. The 31 days when you're going through it is to push through, but it doesn't end at the 31 days. You know, this is just a program to get going. This is a lifetime change.
Can I just add here that this isn't a become like Hunter Drew program. Hunter, how many men
you don't want to do that
have you had? No, but how many men roughly have you had do your proper sort of paid in campaigns?
We're well over 1,000. No, we're over 1,000. We had 226 in December.
Yeah, that's the number I was getting confused with. So over 1,000 men have gone through the program. Only one of them has come out like Hunter Drew. The rest of them have come out like Adam, like Nathan, like Craig, like Phil, like Tex, like Pounders, like Storm, like so many other men each of us could name one by one off the top of our list, you know, on and on and on. If you're going to do this program, it's not to become like someone you like on Twitter. It's not to become like someone who sounds good on a podcast. It's to become who you're supposed to be. And that's worth every penny, whether you buy the book or you buy into the program as a Slack chat or however it's being run when you're listening to this podcast. If you're not worth investing in becoming who you are, what are you doing?
100%. I love that. This program forces you to become fully authentic, and you're not going to like who you are at the start, because that's why you're doing this program, is because you're screwed up like I was. This program also teaches you how to fix that and how to make yourself respectable for the rest of your life to yourself. It makes you more fully who you are, and there's no running away from it anymore.
Absolutely. Now, I want to go to Hunter, the creator of this program, and let him explain a little bit about what his experiences have been going through his own program. So not just seeing what the other men who have gone through the program that he created have experienced, but what he himself, because it's not something that Hunter has put out for all of us to do and just share our opinions and our feedback, but he gets in the trenches with the men and goes through the program as well in each and every iteration. And I'd like to get, Hunter, your perspective on how this program has impacted your life specifically. And also, after you talk about that, explain the upcoming December of Discipline campaign and how those who are listening to this can engage in that, and where they can get your book in the event that they listen to this after that campaign is completed.
So to Sam's point and Adam's, you know, the bottom tagline, I guess, of the book is it's a program to help men live authentic lives. And that's the whole point of all this. They're like, you can actualize the best you. And how awesome would that be to actually fulfill? You know, they say what hell is when you meet the person you could have become. You know, you could have done all these great things and had all these great moments, and that hasn't ended. You know, you can still do that. So when it comes to my personal, what I've learned, my interactions, you know, my experiences, it's been incredible. I mean, it's not a program where I can say, hey, you guys go do this stuff. and I get to project it forward and there's no mirror. No, the whole thing's a mirror. This whole book is a mirror. This whole book reflects upon myself. I look at myself in these pages. I've got to do the push-ups. Am I man enough to do the push-ups? I've got to go through the challenges. Am I man enough to go through the challenges? You know, I say I want to live a great life. I want to be a great father. I want to be a great husband. I want to be a great man. I want to be a great leader. I want to be a great brother. I say all these awesome things, but am I willing to do the work to become them and to actualize them and to live them out? And that's what the program does for me. Every single time, it's yes. I am still willing to work for this. I'm still willing to go and do what I have to do to achieve the life that I want to live. I can look in the mirror and smile. And there's a challenge there. We've got to face the man in the mirror. And you got to look him in the eyes like I'm doing right now to all of you that are watching this. And those who are listening, I'm speaking directly to you. And to the men that are on this panel, I'm looking at each of them. I can say, yes, I like who I have made myself and who I've become. Am I looking to get better? Absolutely. Every single day. But I'm proud of who I am. And that is not something many men can say. Now, for those listening to this and to those watching this, it's not just a circle jerk of how great 31 DTM is. It's so, when you really pay attention, all these men were able to sit here, confidently speak amongst men. That's also something that not a lot of men can do. That's also something the program teaches you. When you do the community campaign, which is why I still run them. So this will kind of segue into December of Discipline. Why am I doing December of Discipline? Because reading the book is great. But reading the book doesn't make you face another man to be held accountable to a man face to face, as we are right now. When we sit in that round table throughout all of December, you know, once a week we'll be having a weekly group video chat. And I will say, how is the challenge? And you will look me in the eyes and you will either lie to me and say, it's great, I did them all, I did all the push-ups. Or you'll be honest and say, look, there's some hard questions, but I'm going through them. And even though it's hard, I'm doing it because I want to earn the life that I feel I deserve. That's what this program does. It helps you build the best you. I want to sit at the table with kings, my peers, sitting at that same table speaking to me. I do not want to sit at the table and have people looking up saying, oh, what's up, Hunter? You're with this? No, you do not look up to me. I do not look down to you. I do not look up to anybody. I sit at the table. I look you in the eyes. You sit across from me. We are all equals, but you have to earn your spot at that table. You don't get to take the easy way and then sit with the kings. The kings didn't take the easy way. They fought for it. They made it happen. They earned their kingdom. It doesn't matter if you're divorced, you're married. None of that. Your relationship status does not define you as a man. Your sexual preference does not define you as a man. The merit of your character certainly does. So as you go through, and as I go through this, I'm testing myself. I'm asking myself, am I still hungry? Do I still want it? When I go through December, how deep am I going to go? I've done so many of these things. How deep? I got to scratch even deeper. What little monsters have been hiding in the shadows? I got to find them. I've got to kill them. What goals do I have? You know, I've got these lofty goals. What about the short term? What short-term goals am I going to adhere to? I got to make sure I'm not looking 5 miles down the road and I stub my toe on the next step. I got to check my coordinates to make sure I haven't walked off path. We're all men. So just because my name's on the book, that means nothing. In this book is the souls of all the men who have been through it. I put the program out there. I'm very proud of it. But this is as hard for me as it is everybody else. Doing 100 push-ups is doing 100 push-ups. Whether you're me, whether you're Phil, whether you're Nate, Adam, Craig, who've done it many times, or you're a brand new guy, 100 push-ups is 100 push-ups. We're peers. We're doing the same work. This challenge is this challenge. We're peers doing the same work. I want men to go into here and to find that confidence, to find that competence that they can just like sit back and be like, I'm fucking finally, my life might suck, but I'm proud of who I am. That to me is the greatest power of this. And that's what it teaches me every time I go through it. And in December, other men that I was looking at the Slack earlier, they're already populating, getting to know each other. They're talking to each other. They're going through the whole introductory period of, hey, this is me. Nice to meet you. They're getting to know one another. Come, let's say December 15th, halfway through the program, these men will know each other inside and out. They will have shared their challenges. They will know, I will know your fears. I will know what motivates you. You will know mine. You'll know where I suck, where I'm trying to get better. What do I suck at? This. What am I trying to get towards? That. And I'll know the same for you, which will bring us closer as men. I'll leave December with many more brothers than I have right now. And I'm looking forward to that so much because that, to me, I'm a tribal creature. I do best in groups. I'm not a lone wolf. I've never been the Sigma guy. I like to be in a group. I like to be in a pack. I like to go out and whoop some ass with my brothers and come back and party hard and bask in the glory of what we did together. I don't like to do things alone. So I made a program for men to come together. And that's exactly what we're doing in December.
So for those of you who are listening to what Hunter just said and what the men who have already shared today about the program have shared with you, if this is something that you would like to embark upon, this challenge to finding out who you are truly and authentically as a man so that you can unleash that upon the world for your benefit, the benefit of your family, and the benefit of society, as I often say on this program, you can look into joining the 31 Days to Masculinity December of Discipline campaign by going to 31dtm.com. That campaign kicks off on December 1st, 2019. So if you're watching this and it's past that point, you can no longer join that campaign. I am releasing this hopefully today. This is November 24th, so you should have a solid week for those of you who are getting on this at the ground floor to go to that website, check out what more about what Hunter has described here and what the program will offer you if you get into that campaign. Go there, pay the entry fee, sign up, get started. After this campaign kicks off on December 1st, you can still get a hold of the program. You can still go through it. Hunter, what is the best way for men to get a hold of your book? Just on Amazon?
Amazon's the best spot.
Okay. So you go to Amazon, search for 31 DTM, 31 Days to Masculinity, get a hold of the book. I do believe, as Hunter has said, that the most powerful way to go through the program is to do it in this community version, but that doesn't take anything away from going through it on your own with the book. And actually, we've had a number of men who have gone through the group campaign who went through the book first. And they said that was actually very helpful because they were able to kind of work through some of those things at their own pace and then come in and do it with the other brothers. So either way, this is a program that I fully endorse, one that I think every man who follows me and who listens to this podcast, who engages with me or Hunter, needs to get your hands on and work through it and see the value that it will provide you. Now, before we drop off, I would like to give a big thank you to the men who have come on here to share their experiences about the program. Phil, Nathan, Sam, Adam, thank you guys so much. Before we do drop, I would like each of you to have the opportunity to just share any final thoughts you have and also let our listeners, our viewers know where they can go to connect with you further. So we're going to go ahead and just go back in the order that we kind of went through you guys throughout the show here today. So Phil, the floor is yours.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Evolved Phil. And, if you're stuck in the mud, so to speak, you're down in the swamps, stagnant, and give this program a shot. I did it. I did it twice. I've netted some great friends. All these gentlemen here, I speak with most of the time, through the fraternity, and I networked with them occasionally. And, I think that working with other men that are in the same position or in different positions really in their lives, I think you can really benefit from this program. So 31 DTM, it's one of the best decisions I ever made, pulling that trigger when I first started following Hunter back on Twitter 2 years ago. It's an interesting thing is, once you learn to embrace that discomfort and you really take a look at yourself, that's where the change happens. That's the magic. There is no secret. There is no magic pill. You need to put the work in, day out, and understand that in the end, it all falls on your shoulders. You got a family, you got a wife and children. It's your responsibility. You're the man. It's time for you to assume the position, and that's at the helm of the ship. Quit letting somebody else drive your life. Take the helm, set a course, and be a man. That's all you got to do. And that's all I got.
Thank you, Phil. Again, appreciate you, brother. Thank you for coming on today. Adam, let our listeners know any final words you may have about 31 Days to Masculinity or otherwise, and where they can connect with you.
I cannot recommend 31 Days to Masculinity enough. I would say this program and Hunter, for having put this program together, has done more for fixing me as a human being than pretty much anyone else in my life that I've ever known. And I do not say that lightly. I think that this program, maybe it didn't save my life because I didn't have much of a life to save before, but it made me into a force that actually can lead my family. I've weathered family tragedy. I've weathered all kinds of hardships since it happened, and I don't think my family or I would have got through it at least anywhere near as intact as we did without all the hardship that Hunter instills It puts you through and then creates discipline from. You jump into this program like a wad of wet clay on a table, and by the end of it, you're burned and you're fired up and you're ready to go out and become the vessel. You become this vessel, and you go out filled with the drive, that ambition, and you make things happen. I tell people now, before I did it, people were like, "Oh, yeah, Adam, you have so much. You're so smart. You have so many cool ideas." After I've done 31 Days of Masculinity, people say, "How do you have this level of discipline? How do you have this drive? How do you accomplish these things?" And I just point them back to this program and say, if you want to have the same drive, ambition, fortitude, 31 days. Most of them say, "Oh, I don't really have the time for that." Well, okay. I work 70-hour weeks with 2 toddlers, third one on the way. I got a marriage. I commute for a living. I do this. Do meetings. I'm constantly busy. I don't have time for anything. But you make time, because 10 years from now, you'll be 10 years older. Do you want to be better than you are now? Do you want to have 10 years of accomplishments or 10 years of excuses? As far as finding me, I'm on Twitter. I'm at the Prometheus. On Instagram, at Adam Lane Smith Books. My website is adamlanesmith.com. Like I said, I think I'm publishing book number 7 next month. I've almost lost track. Book number 8 is up on Kickstarter right now. It's called Savage Hunters. It's for young adults. One thing that, Hunter, you've really instilled in me is to go where people don't want you. Find the weak spot in the shield wall and then build it. So I write Christian fiction, which has been historically weak and there's almost no money in it because people don't like it. I'm building it up there. Now I'm jumping into young adult. People don't like it as much because it's fallen to the wayside in a lot of categories. I'm jumping in there and building it. Maybe there's not a lot of money to be made in it just yet. There will be, but I'm building them there. So go on Kickstarter, Savage Hunters. I'm doing the Kickstarter right now. You get a bunch of rewards there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Adam. Again, thank you for your time. Appreciate you coming on, sharing your experiences. You've had some solid insights here today. Nathan, give our listeners a little final thoughts from your mind and where they can find you, brother.
One of the biggest things in just talking with guys on Twitter or on some of the other avenues is cost. And one of the reasons this costs something is because if you don't put any skin in the game, you won't do it. It's been proven over and over and over again. If you do something and it's free, why? There's no skin in the game. So that's why there's a cost. And I also know on this cost of, depending on where you at, more than likely on a Friday or a Saturday night, you spent more at the bar with your buddies than what you would on this program. You spent more on superficial stuff off of Amazon than a program to change your life. You have spent more money on just junk and clutter in your life, and you can look around your house and you can see all kinds of stuff where this program will change your life. I also know that there's been sponsorships, there's other avenues, there's currently a discount going. As of this, as we're talking here, there's different ways to get in on this. So if finances are a problem, reach out, because there's men that want to see other men go through this, and there's different avenues. But if you take up one of them sponsorships, do not be the guy that fails them. That is like the lowest form. If you take a sponsorship, see it through. And I want to put that in there. But if you don't put skin in the game, then why? So that's one of the key factors. And Ed filled it in and Phil started, and I know Hunter's going to close this out. But yeah, you got to take charge. And this is a starting point to take charge and make a change. Because New Year's resolutions are stupid. You don't follow through with them, and they don't make changes. It's a waste of freaking time to even say it. It's a waste of words. Get a program that can make a change. You can find me. I'm at SteelJans on Twitter, and my main website is barbarianrhetoric.com. Those are the best 2 avenues to follow, find me at, and all the other things that I have my fingers in. Thank you for having me, Craig.
Thank you so much for being on, Nathan. I very much appreciate it. All right, Hunter. We've spent a lot of time talking about your program here, and you've given your take on how the program has affected you. For some final words here before we jump off, let our audience know what you want them to take away from this discussion we've had today on this program that you've created. And also feel free to take the opportunity to let them know where they can connect with you further.
First off, I want to give a shout out to Samuel Thorp. He had to hop off because he lives on the other side of the world. So if you enjoyed what it is he was sharing, Samuel, Samuel, then a capital S, then a capital T, lowercase HORP. He's a great man. So you follow him, your timeline will immediately be upgraded.
Yeah, so on Twitter, it's Samuel S. Thorp is his handle. His website is thorp.blog. So you guys can check that out as well.
I initially didn't want to do this. I am uncomfortable talking about this program and things like that. Like I said, it's very personal to me. I love to hear like people's success stories, but kind of in passing, never how it really impacted them. And then, the ways that I was able to influence certain things in their lives. So I didn't want to do it, but Craig kind of shifted the perspective in that I made this and it's become a thing. It's become something that's helped a lot of people, and not talking about it and not spreading the word and not sharing the word on it, all that is an injustice to those who need it. It's just, we're taking a lighthouse from there. Somebody's going to hear this and they're like, you know what? I'm going to check this out. And they're going to go through it and they're going to change their life. And I guess that would have to be my final closing point would be, look, if it's not 31 DTM, it's got to be something. If you're not content with where you are and you want more, you have to do something. And that something isn't going to be easy. It's going to be very, very hard. It's going to have you asking questions of yourself you don't want to ask. It's going to have you looking through childhood trauma, through some of the worst demons you have in your life, relationship trauma, PTSD from any crisis you went through as a human being. It's not just the military. The things you're suffering from when you were 15, 20, 30. Some people are 50 plus going through this, and they're still going through these unresolved things because they keep running from them. When you ask yourself those questions about those hard things, giving forgiveness or cutting that person out of your life. Like, look, I do not forgive you. You were dead to me. You're a dead limb, and this tree is going to grow. Chop it off. Phil said it earlier. I really like that. I'm going to stick with it. Get rid of the things that are holding you down. That's hard to do. That's difficult to do. Looking at your relationship and asking, are you a terrible father? Are you genuinely a terrible husband who thinks because you make a paycheck, you deserve, the life you see other men living, and respect and admiration, submission, all these great things. You deserve that because you have a job. That's not how it works. And you don't want to talk about that because that means you have to do some work. You have to do the work. You have to do something. You cannot wish a greater life into existence. So please, if you listen to this and it resonated, take action. Buy the book, join December Discipline. Don't look into FOE. We have men going through it all the time in there. It's irrelevant what you do, just so long as you please do something. You can find me inside the Fraternity of Excellence. You can find me on the Family Alpha, and all my handles are Hunter Drew TFA. Thank you guys for coming on here. I could not appreciate what you've done more. I couldn't. There's no words to say it, so just understand you have my utmost respect, always.
Absolutely. It's an honor to be able to have you and these men on to give an accurate representation of what the program you've created will provide to the men who decide to embark upon that journey. My final thought on this, and Hunter, I can do nothing to up what you have just said. Just to admonish the men listening, don't be a what if statistic. Don't look back at your life a year from now, 2 years from now, and think, what if I had just taken this opportunity to invest in myself a little bit and see where the chips might fall on the other side. Don't be a what if. Take action. See the improvements that are awaiting you on the other side. See the friendships and the brotherhood of the other men who are going to be going through this program. See how that camaraderie will impact your life, because most men don't have that. And as Hunter said earlier, every man in here is here because we've connected and bonded in some way over the 31 Days to Masculinity program. It's more than just investing in yourself and putting in work. It's also about building a network, building relationships with other men who will also demand the most and the best that you have to offer this world. So thank you guys so much for coming on the Mancast. Thank you to those of you who are listening. Be sure to share this message If you've gotten value out of it, it's something that you have a man or other men in your life who could stand to hear this and join this program, get the book, be sure to share it with them as well. So that'll do it for today's episode of the Masculine by Design Mancast. Until next time, this is Craig James for the rest of my guests today. We're out.